pets for every stage of life, from prescription medications to nutrition and supplements. Visit PetMeds.com and use promo code WARRIORS for 30% off your entire order. PetMeds, empowering you to help your pets live longer, healthier lives.
Dub Nation, NBC Sports Bay Area is your home for complete Warriors coverage. Catch Steph and the squad all season long as Bob Fitzgerald and Kalina Azubuike call all the action. Tune in to Warriors pre- and post-game live, hosted by me, Bonte Hill, alongside NBA champ Festus Ezeli and Hall of Famer Chris Mullin. 1 hour before and immediately after every single game. Plus nonstop Warriors content with the NBC Sports Bay Area app. Authentic moments live here on NBC Sports Bay Area.
Thanks for showing up, Dub Nation. Nothing beats catching your Warriors live, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back. As the official ticket marketplace of the Warriors and the NBA, even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Warriors tickets today at Ticketmaster. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Warriors. See you courtside again soon, Dub Nation.
Hey, Dub Nation. If you're traveling to cheer on the Warriors this season, then the most important thing to pack is the United Airlines app. You can track your bags, change your flight or your seat, get a personalized map of the airport terminal, even talk to a live customer service agent. It's like having a travel agent in the palm of your hand for free. And yeah, that technically makes it a free agent. Download the United app and book your next trip today. United, proud to be the official airline of the Golden State Warriors.
Kia is the official automotive partner of the NBA. And we think about basketball a lot. The plays, the swagger, the glory, the game. And how we can elevate our own game with capability that takes us to another level. And ground clearance that propels us even higher. The 3-row 2025 Kia Telluride X-Line all-wheel drive. Kia, official vehicle partner of the Golden State Warriors. Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Limited inventory available.
To Curry, pump fake, flyby, 3-ball, got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-HOOP.
You wish you were here.
This Odyssey Sports broadcast was presented by ZipRecruiter. Looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The lights are out.
Curry gets to the lights. Rebound, Randall. Ball game over. Minnesota gets the win. And the Warriors fall back to 500. They got Steph Curry back, but a 17-0 run gave the Warriors a deficit that they had trouble fighting over to get back in control of this game. Golden State now 13-13 on the season. Minnesota goes to 16-9. Warriors will try to get well on Sunday up in Portland against a team they haven't beaten this year. They've lost both games against the Trailblazers this year. We'll talk about that and more. Coming your way, post-game show is next.
Yeah, sort of a tough one for the Warriors tonight. There's no doubt about it. Golden State falls to Minnesota at home, kind of off the bye week, and a little bit of I don't want to say a cratering feeling, but certainly, you know, you're feeling good off of the 2-1 road trip. You had 4 days off between Sunday and today. You got without Horford. Oh my gosh! Hold on. Cam, am I there yet? Hello? Sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties here at Chase Center. I
Looking for lifelong financial guidance? Look no further than Pettinelli Financial Partners, your dedicated financial coaches for every stage of life's journey. Whether you're planning for retirement, starting a family, or buying a home, we're here for you every step of the way. Visit PettinelliFP.com. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos and Pettinelli are separate entities from LPL Financial.
O'Reilly. Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Mama Bear, I hear our old Fast Track tag won't be saving us money on bridge tolls anymore.
That's because bridge carpool rules are changing on January 1st. But don't worry, Papa Bear. I got a new Fast Track Flex tag. Huh? See?
Mama, what are the numbers for?
Well, Baby Bear, that tells the system how many people are in the car, so we can get a discount when there are 3 or more of us. We are 3 bears, and we're setting our tag to 3+. So it's just right.
So now we'll keep saving money on tolls?
Mm-hmm. You bet your cushy driver's seat, Papa.
That'll make up for this cold takeout porridge. Yeah.
My breakfast burrito is just right.
Starting January 1st, 3 or more people are required for carpool discounts on all bridges. A Fast Track Flex toll tag set to 3+ is required for discounts on all bridges except the Bay Bridge and the Golden Gate. Visit getfasttrack.org for details.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Paid for by Reliable Legal Marketing.
Attention California residents. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, including chronic lymphocytic leukemia, a common subtype, is one of the most common cancers in the United States. If you or loved one was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or chronic lymphocytic leukemia and were exposed to Roundup weed killer, you could be entitled to cash compensation. Bayer.
Warriors fall to the to the Minnesota Timberwolves by a final score of 127-120. Thank you for joining us again, and sorry for the technical difficulties. And look, let's just get right into this game. This was actually I thought this was a really good game. I mean, Steph Curry was fantastic in his return, ended up scoring 39 points, 23 of which in the second half. You saw Minnesota without obviously their best player and their leading scorer sort of cobble together, a combination of, I thought, players who just exposed the Warriors' lack of size, obviously lack of athleticism, and kind of hurt the Warriors where they needed to. Julius Randle in this game, I thought, was steady pretty much the entire time. Was on triple-double alert, 27, 9, and 6. And Naz Reid is a Warriors killer. I mean, he's a guy who has always hurt them and continues to do so. Had 18 points in 30 minutes. He did the bulk of his damage in that third quarter. And then the guy who who punished them. And look, I realize that Draymond Green is certainly not the player that he used to be, and you could triple down on that statement for someone like Al Horford, but Rudy Gobert just punished the Warriors in the fourth quarter. I mean, what he did on the glass, in fact, that was something that I was paying attention to coming into that fourth quarter, how the discrepancy between the rebounding was really not that big. In fact, it was in favor of the Golden State Warriors. They were a +7 on the glass going into the fourth, and Rudy Gobert, along with the Minnesota Timberwolves, pretty much grabbed every single loose ball. In the fourth quarter, it was a 14-5 rebounding advantage for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Rudy Gobert ends up scoring 12 points, and he grabs 6 rebounds, 2 of which offensive, and, of course, a couple putbacks. He had some monster dunks over Quentin Post, who did all he could, and I thought played his ass off. He really fought and competed tonight, but Rudy Gobert was probably, along with Dante DiVincenzo, who hit some big shots, the difference down the stretch of this basketball game. And, I thought that the Warriors did all they could after falling behind 108-96 with 5:48 left. To that point in the fourth quarter, they had scored a total of 5 points. And they were getting outscored in terms of speed. You saw even someone like Rob Dillingham getting in on the action. He had a blow-by of Jimmy Butler. Gobert had a dunk. You saw Naz Reid hit an open shot in the corner at the beginning of that fourth quarter off of back-to-back turnovers, one by Post, one by, I think it was Moody. And the Timberwolves, who after kind of being right there even, they were trailing by 3 going into the fourth quarter, they just used an opening in the door to just kind of bust it down. 17-0 spurt had them up by 12 points a little over midway through the fourth quarter. And it really took a Herculean effort, I thought, from Steph Curry just to get them back in that game. Moses Moody had a couple of big plays, a transition triple with 4:30 left to cut it to 4 at that point. That caps an 8-0 run for the Dubs after Curry drills a 3 off an offensive rebound. He also had a lay in there. And then the big play, I thought, was with 3:45 left. Steph turns DiVincenzo over in the back court, and the Wolves, wisely, I mean, you got to give Chris Finch credit, they call a timeout and challenge it. Not because they think that it's off of DiVincenzo, but because they felt like Curry fouled him in the process, which is exactly what happened. And the next play, Gobert gets a dunk. So instead of the Warriors having a chance to cut it to a one-possession game, it ends up becoming a 5-point Minnesota lead. And even through that, Melton gets free throws. After that, there's a Melton steal that leads to a Curry triple. That gives the Warriors, puts them down by 1. And then it just kind of battles back and forth to the point where Curry has to hit this ridiculous step-back 3 over Julius Randle, by the way, that put them up 115-114. And after Moses Moody forced a backcourt turnover, he gets a layup. The Warriors are up by 3, 117-114. And then who comes in and hits the big shot? It's Dante DiVincenzo, the former Golden State Warrior, just steps into a big 3 to tie it at 117. And after that, I felt like Curry was a little bit gassed, obviously, in his return back. He'd missed 5 games. He was coming off of injury. He played 32 minutes in the game, but he misses a free throw that could have helped the Warriors, obviously, because Gobert comes down and gets a dunk to make it 119-118. And then probably the biggest shot that was missed in this basketball game, Quentin Post gets an open corner 3 with a little over a minute left. I mean, he just sits there and sits there and sits there and squares it up. And I don't know if anybody else was feeling like this, but, a lot of times when there's a surefire shooter, whether it could be Curry, it could be a streaky guy like Buddy Hield, it could be a knockdown typical 3-point shooter like Quentin Post, who, by the way, he took 11 threes in this game. He didn't shoot a bad percentage by any means. He was 4 for 10 up until that point, but you can't really, I guess, kill him for it. But he just took all the time in the world, and maybe he was thinking about it a little bit too much. Obviously, a big shot that would have put the Warriors up at that point. At that stage of the game, that's a gotta-have-it kind of shot. Warriors would have gone up by 2. Instead, he misses. Naz Reid comes down, splits free throws, and then Steph Curry goes for the lead on a three-point shot, ends up airballing. And again, I thought he was tired at that point. And after that, Wolves get just a breakdown in the defense. They swing it over to Dante DiVincenzo. No hesitation from the corner. Buries it 123-118 with 27 seconds left, and the game is over. But I thought the Warriors showed a lot of fight in those final 5.5 minutes, and the Minnesota Timberwolves just made a couple more plays. This was a game that featured 27 lead changes. 10 times they were tied. Nobody led by more than 7 points, which was the final score. Or pardon me, the Wolves had the 12-point lead in the fourth quarter, but up until the fourth, no one had led by more than 7 points. The Warriors' largest lead up until the fourth was 6th, and up until that 5.5-minute mark of the fourth quarter, the largest Wolves lead going into that quarter was 7. I mean, this was a game that was there for the Warriors to take, but it wasn't one that I felt like they played well enough to win. The Wolves absolutely went out and grabbed this game by the horns midway through the fourth quarter, but the Warriors showed fight. I don't think they showed a level of consistency throughout this game, specifically on the defensive end, that told me they should have won this basketball game. Between Randall and Reed, McDaniels, Gobert, again, just the Minnesota Timberwolves are a team that kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of Portland and why the Warriors struggled so much with them early this season. Oh, by the way, they play them on Sunday in Portland. It's because teams with positional size, and we've talked about this a little bit too throughout the season, teams with positional size, they just make things difficult on the Warriors. I know that they only had 13 turnovers in this game, did lead to 15 points for Golden State, but it would be like the Warriors would be on the verge of, a 6-0 run, an 8-0 run. They would have a 4-point lead, maybe a 3-point lead, and then there would just be, boom, back-to-back turnovers. Or there would be an ill-timed pass, an ill-timed shot that would lead to a leak out. And Minnesota's a team where you cannot do that against because they're going to make it hurt. Whether it's in transition, specifically points in the paint, the Warriors were outscored 66-44 on points in the paint, 18-12 on the fast break. That's going to be the difference in these kinds of games. And again, it wasn't like the Warriors played poorly. They were right there. They had a chance to win. But it's these kinds of little things that it feels like we're describing in different ways, or asking, the Currys or the Kerrs to talk about in different ways, because there's just something missing in each of these games. And we know they don't have a large margin for error, but, it's just kind of another game that stinks because they lost and they were there, but it's also another one where you can't claim that they should have won. I think that the Pacers game was a game that they should have won. That might be the only one. I'm thinking about Milwaukee. After watching that game earlier this season, that wasn't a game that, based on the Warriors' performance, I felt like they should have won. Against the Magic, they got outplayed by Orlando. Here at home against Houston, they got outplayed by the Rockets. And I thought tonight, overall, they got outplayed by Minnesota. And without Curry, again, this team probably gets blown off the floor tonight. And that's where there's other things I begin to think about, which is, all right, who's not on the other team? Again, no Draymond, no Horford, leave that aside. The Timberwolves didn't have Anthony Edwards. You go back to the Houston game. The Rockets didn't have Kevin Durant. The Magic, no Paolo. The Pacers, no Halliburton. The Bucks, no Giannis. Other teams are figuring out ways to grab games against Golden State, and those are the ones that it just makes you feel like, I don't know, just a little sour. It's probably also the reason why they're 13-13. But the biggest thing to me, and we're going to hear from Curry in a little bit, we're going to hear from Steve Kerr in its entirety in just a bit, but to me, the biggest difference in a game like this, and the biggest difference in, I would say, the 4 games that they've lost against teams who haven't had their stars, right? Durant against Houston, Banchero against Orlando, Giannis against Milwaukee, and tonight it was Anthony Edwards, is those teams know who they are. I still don't think the Warriors know who they are. And Curry alluded to that a little bit in his post-game presser, talking about how in crunch time, the Timberwolves, yes, they don't have Ant, but
Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, Dante DiVincenzo, Naz Reid, all of those guys have played together for some time. They know where the ball is going to go. They know exactly what they're going to do in crunch time. And as much as the Warriors are a team that when the ball is moving and Curry's doing his thing, everything looks great, this is a relatively cobbled together group right now. Kerr's trying to figure out which 11 he likes. Pat Spencer was into the starting lineup tonight. He's trying to figure out if he's going to close with Post, with Moses Moody, who got the closing nod tonight, over a guy like Buddy Hield, who only played 20 minutes. And so there's not a lot of continuity when it comes to those finishing situations right now for Golden State, as opposed to a Minnesota where Chris Finch is going to his guys, and damn it, they're going to win or lose. And so to me, the difference in a game like this between the T-Wolves and the Warriors is just simply the Wolves know who they are. And right now, the Warriors do not seem to know who they are. 888-957-9570 is the number. Even with Curry back, by the way, mind you, here on the Warriors Wrap Up with Evan Giddings, even with Curry back, there just isn't a whole lot of, I would say, things that we can expect right now. You're thinking about some of the rotation questions, and I'm thinking about, all right, well, there's a lot of substitutions back and forth, especially in the fourth quarter. I thought it was a little telling that tonight, a guy who's been starting, I think for his past, you got to go back all the way to, I think it was the San Antonio game, might have been the second San Antonio game, it was Will Richard. He got a DNP. He didn't play at all tonight. There were some guys who, obviously Kuminga got a DNP CD, Seth Curry did as well, but Will Richard really popped out to me because I think he's been playing pretty good basketball. Has he been stellar? No. But I thought that he was someone who was in the favor of Steve Kerr and the Warriors. I also think that he's a consummate pro, is going to be able to handle it well. But, it feels like essentially his minutes, he'd been playing about 20 to 23 minutes. All of his minutes went to DeAnthony Melton. It wasn't like there was anybody tonight who really stood out as far as outside of Jimmy Butler, who played nearly 37 minutes. There wasn't a guy who took the floor for a crazy period of time. Curry played 32. Pat Spencer got 28 minutes in his third start. Obviously didn't finish the game, and he was a minus 15. I thought that he played fine, but missed a couple of big shots, especially during that 17-0 run that could have, again, just kind of put a pin in it, and unfortunately didn't have it. Quentin Post played 33. That's big for him, but that's also because he kind of had to. I mean, maybe you could have gotten a little more from Trace Jackson Davis, but, Quentin Post, I thought that he battled tonight as much as he could against a guy like Gobert. And as much as I thought Trace played relatively well, he had 8 and 7 along with a couple blocks. Most of the damage he did was in the first half. Is he going to be a guy that you want out there in crunch time compared to Post? Probably not. Pods played 22 minutes. I didn't think he was particularly impressive, but you couldn't go to Buddy tonight. Buddy wasn't great either. I mean, there was just no one, and that's where, I'm looking at Kerr and I'm wondering kind of why Will Richard didn't play. But I'm also looking around and wondering, okay, well, in his stead, who else was he going to go to close? I thought the guys that he closed with tonight were probably the correct choices. I mean, you look at Curry, Melton, Moody, Butler, Post, those are your 5 best guys. I mean, in the fourth quarter, the biggest issue at the beginning was the fact that they couldn't score. I don't think it's a coincidence that Steph wasn't on the floor for the majority of that. But you're looking around for somebody to make shots, and Pods couldn't make a shot. Spencer couldn't make a shot. That's probably a situation where you're actually looking at someone like Jimmy Butler to go make a play. And I thought the Warriors as a whole had a couple of bunnies. They had a couple of close shots, just didn't fall. Spencer had one from the corner, I think with 7 minutes left. That was wide open. Just didn't go in. He went back to Melton too. Kerr did with about 8 minutes left. Didn't work. That's kind of where the game got away from them. And the Wolves didn't really do themselves any favors because they missed a lot of free throws tonight. They were 20 of 28. I thought the Warriors did a pretty good job in the second half of keeping them off the line. But the Wolves didn't make them pay even when they got there. The biggest issue I thought was the fact that the Warriors, they just did not defend very well, specifically inside the three-point line. I know the Wolves ended up shooting 36% from three. A lot of that had to do with DiVincenzo, who started the game 2 for 7 from three and then hit two out of his last three that were probably the biggest ones. I mean, Reed did hurt you from downtown, but not that badly. He was 3 for 7. Randall had a big three in the fourth, but it was everything they did inside the paint. Again, and this is where I think the Warriors are really looking around between now and January 15th or February 15th and saying, how can we get some size in here? And maybe I would expect, well, actually I wouldn't expect because I don't really know, but maybe Kerr goes back to someone like Kuminga who offers some athleticism, some size. But one of the areas that he's felt like that Kuminga has struggled is taking care of the ball. And I thought the Warriors, for the most part, didn't turn it over, but the few that they did really killed them. And again, it's just a thin margin for error right now that this team is having to deal with. This was a game where not having Draymond probably hurts you because defensively, you could not get a stop. I mean, they shot 54% and they shot 37 of, 58 from inside the three-point line. 66 points in the paint that's a lot of freaking points. And Draymond probably impacts a lot of that. But again, I can't use that as an excuse because Minnesota Timberwolves didn't have Anthony Edwards, who's been averaging got more touches. Guys stepped up, made shots. Thought DiVincenzo put on his hero's cape a little bit. Jay McDaniels hit a big three in the fourth, but made some plays for others, had 5 assists. But, as a result of Ant not playing, they had to go more towards Jalen Clark, Rob Dillingham, who they probably didn't want to do a ton of. Bones Highland started the game, and Chris Finch hit the ejector seat on that experiment 5 minutes into the game. Bones just was basically given nothing, even though he hit 1 3. So it was pretty much looking here like a 6.5-man rotation tonight for Minnesota. McDaniels, Randall, Gobert, DiVincenzo, Naz Reid, and then the sixth man was Terrence Shannon Jr., who didn't make a three, but again, he's fast. Had a couple steals, had a block, had an offensive rebound. That's where the Wolves are going to be able to hurt you. It's just the Warriors right now are searching for some answers, and I guess that's where I was hoping this game, I don't want to say it would be the sort of signal of things turning, but you're kind of wondering. I felt like this game and this week was hopefully going to be somewhat of an inflection point for the Warriors because to me, what I saw over the road trip was energy and effort. And I think they still played with that tonight. They just ran into a team who was better overall, the better team. They didn't have the best player on the floor, but they probably had the second, the third, and the fourth best players in the game. All of them are bigger, faster, stronger than the Warriors. And that's not something that's really going to change. So, could Kerr have done some things differently tonight? I think defensively is more where I'm looking than the offensive end. You put up 120, and I know a lot of it is because Steph was sensational. But defensively, they just could not get a stop when they needed to in the fourth quarter. To me, that was kind of the biggest part. Clutch time has been an issue for them all season long. They're 5 of 13, 5 and 8 in clutch games. You had the game in Denver, which Curry stole. You had both games in San Antonio, which Curry stole. And that, to me, thinking about it even more, is probably a pretty glaring thing that unless Steph is going to go superhuman against these better teams, and again, thinking about tonight, he had 39, but he probably needs to go for 45 or 46 if they're going to win this game. And if that's going to be your equation, if that's going to be your path to victory, you're going to run into trouble against a lot of better teams or against a lot of good teams. And Minnesota, while they might not be, I wouldn't have them up there with Houston or Denver. They're, 2A. Minnesota's in a class of their own, so we're just talking about the second-tier teams. Houston, Denver, I probably have Minnesota and the Lakers right now sort of in the same area. But that's also because Minnesota has shown that they can survive without one of their best players, if not the best player. They've shown that they can survive without a Randall. They won tonight without Ant. They're now 3-3 in games without Anthony Edwards. Because they got studs behind them. They got other dudes who can fill in. They got guys who can play big minutes. I mean, shoot. I was thinking about this earlier. So Rudy Gobert he's not as old as I thought. He's 33 years old. But Rudy gives you 35 minutes tonight. The Warriors, again, the only player that's really playing big minutes for them is Jimmy Butler. They want to keep Steph around 32. They want to keep Draymond around 30 when he's back. Jimmy's the only guy that's going to be playing those big minutes. And I thought tonight he was fine, but again, it's just tonight's the night where Curry probably could have used Robin. And I know Jimmy's a damn good player, and I know he's headed to the Hall of Fame, and he's a big reason why the last season turned around the way it did. But why does it not feel like Butler's been the Robin this season? I know he's had some big games, and I know he's had some large statistical performances, but just in some of these games against the best teams, you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't feel like Jimmy has been Robin. That's the way that's the way that I'm kind of looking at this, right? I mean, I know he's also missed some games too, but gosh, it's just like he's got to be sort of the difference in a few of these. I know he was hurt against OKC, and that was a second half surge. He was Robin in Orlando. He actually might have been better than Steph in that game when he had 33. I mean, maybe it's just the Milwaukee game that's kind of sticking with me a little bit. I know he had 23, but gosh, it's just you need Jimmy of a couple years ago right now, or maybe even last season. And feels like tonight he made the right plays and he did what he had to, but gosh, they needed him to be just a little more offensively. Either that or they had to find a way to get some stops. And that to me really is where, if I'm thinking about the Warriors and them moving forward with some of the things they experimented with tonight, I don't know how much longer or if they're going to play Steph along with Pat, because that's a backcourt that is going to get, in my opinion, just eaten defensively. I mean, you're thinking of, and look, a lot of this should correct itself once Melton is able to play big minutes, but until he gets more than 20, this is a backcourt that, to me, you have to have someone alongside Steph that is a good defender. And God love Pat Spencer, but Curry's not a bad defender either, but one of them has to have a little bit of, they got to have some length out there alongside Steph. Now, I think Pat has played his ass off. He's played well. Tonight, he wasn't horrible. I don't think he was as good as his line of 12, 5, and 4 would say. But, defensively, the Warriors are just going to get cooked out there if you're playing him alongside Steph. I think that's kind of why Kerr went away from him. It's one of the reasons why I feel uneasy about Podziemski sometimes alongside Curry, is because Pods is not a great defender. I think Pods he's a capable help defender, and obviously he can slide and create charges, but as far as guarding his man, Pods leaves you feeling like you want more a lot. And I think that's why he tried to close with Melton and Moody, but the damage had kind of already been done for the Dubs. So moving forward, I don't know if he might start Spencer alongside Curry one more game. Maybe also why I'm left wanting a little more with Will Richard. I feel like he could have done some things tonight on that end of the floor that they needed. I know they scored 120 points, but I just feel like Richard elevates your floor a bit defensively more than they were looking for with other guys tonight. All right, 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up. Let's go out to Jim. Jim is in St. Louis. It's become one of our favorites. Thanks for hanging on late with us, Jim. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, man. Pretty good. Kind of bummed out by that game.
Hello?
I don't know why they started Spencer. Doesn't make sense.
Cam? You got him, buddy?
Yeah. I'm here.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, we'll wait on Jim in just a moment. We're going to take you up until a little bit past 11 here. Hear from Steve along with Steph. And if we got anything in the chat, feel free to throw it in there as well. No worries. Again, the number is 888-957-9570. Defensively, hold on. What do we got back there, Cam? Oh, I can't hear him. Well, that's a problem. That's a problem if I can't hear him. All right, well, I guess we'll just be without calls for tonight. I'm sorry about that, Jim. If you want to call in tomorrow morning, I'd be happy to take your call on Warriors this week. Not exactly sure why. Again, we've been dealing with a few technical issues tonight, and I'm sorry about that, which is kind of interesting because usually Chase Center's, it's top-notch. It's tip-top. We've had pretty much no problems. So, again, I feel like tonight with Curry's return, that's obviously a positive. It sucks that the 39 points feel like they're wasted a little bit. In fact, I'd be curious to kind of go through and see some of Steph's performances this year and just those eruption kinds of games. I know a lot of it is because obviously he has to. And this is a guy that, gosh, age 37 is averaging right now. I think he's 28.5 points. Utterly ridiculous. But games in which he scored 40 or more, they're 3-0. But you look at the rest of the games that Steph has played, and gosh, I mean, they're now 6-8. 6-8 when Steph doesn't score 4. Oof. I mean, again, he had 38 in the home against Portland, had 35 on the road in Portland in that loss. He had 34 and loss on the road against Orlando. I mean, yeesh. Oddly enough, when Steph has scored 3 points or less, they're 4-2. And maybe that's because, again, you got guys stepping up around him. But that's pretty concerning. The fact that the Warriors are 6-8 with Curry when he does not score 40 or more points. I mean, I don't know how to say that they're as dependent as ever on it, but that's just kind of the case. And to me, it's, I guess you could talk about how to, until you get some help in here, do whatever you can to sort of maximize them. But I think that includes Jimmy stepping up a little bit, Quentin Post continuing to shoot the ball. I think his emergence on the defensive end has been notable. When he gets with Draymond, again, hopefully he's going to be back on Sunday. I think he's tracking towards that. Was out tonight for personal reasons. That's a combination that's hopefully going to be pretty good. I know the rounds were made this week of Post, number 3 overall defensive rating. The Warriors as a whole, second in defensive rating coming into this game. A big part of that was this road trip in which they held all of their opponents to less than 100 points. But I think some of that tonight is yes, the Wolves made shots. I think the Warriors also, weren't as connected defensively. And to me, part of that is they don't, I would say of the Warriors' best perimeter defenders, I got Melton in there. I would say Moody's in there. You probably got to put GP2, even though he's at an advanced age. Those are the guys, and maybe even Buddy Hield. And I know that sounds crazy, but Buddy has been one of their better wing defenders this year. And I'm looking up and down at this game, and those guys didn't play a lot. Moody ended up playing 23 minutes, and he closed. Melton ended up playing 20 minutes, and he closed. But Buddy Hield played less than 19 minutes. didn't play very well in this game, so couldn't stay on the floor. Gary Payton II has been essentially phased out of the rotation all but for a 3.5-minute spurt, kind of at various points. So in a game like this, the Warriors probably just tried to outshoot Minnesota. I mean, they didn't really play their best defensive players. I know Post obviously is there, but I'm talking about perimeter guys like wings, of which obviously they don't have a lot. But Melton plays and did play tonight alongside, I think it was either Steph and Pat or Steph and Pods, and he basically was playing the de facto three. I mean, the Warriors trotted out a three-guard lineup. I know Buddy Hield is bigger than those guys, but he's a guard. He's just taller simply than Pat and Steph along with Pods. So that to me is, again, why you're looking around and saying in the next month or 2 months, how can we get some more size in here? And, I mean, even someone like Will Richard, who is a guard, he's 6'3", he plays more like a wing on this team. And that's just going to be an issue that they're going to have to deal with at this point. And especially against a team like Minnesota, that's going to be pretty difficult to overcome. All right, Cam, if we can, could we go to Steve Kerr if we have him here, the head coach of the Golden State Warriors? We're going to listen to him and then react to it on the other side. Here's the head coach.
I thought our defense let us down tonight. We had several plays in transition in both halves where we lost sight of Naz Reid and a couple of their shooters. And I just thought our transition defense was poor. There was one, it was 96-91, I think, and he got a three. We were in position to handle that, and there seemed to be some confusion. So transition defense wasn't great. And then the first part of the fourth quarter, I think they were like 20-5 with their run, and we just couldn't get anything going. So, that stretch hurt us. Our guys were amazing with the comeback and gave ourselves a chance. And then again, we let Dante get free, up three. We got to play better defense than that.
Randall and Gobert had huge numbers. How big a problem was, missing Al and Draymond, and just kind of how big a problem it is just at times the lack of size for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, they're a massive team. And, but I thought Quentin and Trace both did a great job, battling down there. We hung tough on the glass. We played, I thought, well enough to win, but had a long dry spell there early in the fourth. I think late third, early fourth, where we had some open looks, didn't knock them down. I'm going to have to watch the tape to see what we can do better offensively. But, injuries happen. They're without Anthony Edwards, obviously. So their injuries are a part of this thing, and our guys battled really well. Yeah. I mean, we're not a big team, but we're going to get Draymond and Al back soon, and we believe in Trace and Quentin. So I think we've got enough.
Steve, obviously the numbers are the numbers, but how did you think Steph looked after being off?
He looked great. I mean, just the movement, the flow. I asked him how he was feeling after the first 8-minute run in the first quarter. He said, "I feel great." So I thought he looked really good.
Is that 32 minutes, at least for the short term, is that right about where you want to cap?
Yeah. I mean, short term and long term,
You go with Pat in the starting lineup with Steph. Was that a product a little bit of Ant being out, that you could play kind of those two guys?
Not necessarily. I wanted to see them together so that we could have, Steph off the ball a little bit, have Pat run pick and roll, see how they handled that. And so it was, we wanted to make sure we gave that lineup a look. And, tonight was the night to do it with Pat coming off that stretch on the road, Draymond being out. And I like those two guys together. I mean, Pat is smart and he can get Steph the ball.
And you had Melton in the closing group. Was that planned? And could you see that basically being the way you go with the Anthony?
Yeah,
closing?
I think Melt will be in our closing lineup quite a bit this year. He's so good defensively. He can play either guard spot. He's a great decision maker. very, very fundamentally sound. But I don't know that we're going to be able to predict our closing lineup at all coming up. Moses earned it tonight. He played so well in the second half and made some huge plays for us. So we went with Moses and Melt, but it could be very different next game. We just have to ride the hot hand and do whatever it takes to win.
Steve, I'm sorry I wasn't here for pregame. So was Seth available tonight? And if he was, why?
Seth?
Yeah, Seth.
Yeah, he was available.
So why was he not in there when you guys were struggling shooting from three earlier in that game or during the game?
Well, it's tough. We played 12 people, or maybe 11, but it's not easy to just throw guys in there randomly after they haven't been in the rotation the first three quarters. So he's definitely going to help us, at times. But this was not his night, and we went in a different direction.
And what were the circumstances for JK's second straight DNP?
Just right now, it's where things are. I mean, you saw Guy come in there for 6 minutes, and he lit up the crowd with his energy and the ball movement. That was maybe the best stretch of the game for our offense, just with the flow and with Pat playing as well as he is. It's just where it is right now, but it can change very quickly, as you all know.
Other than that one stretch in the third, the turnovers were pretty good tonight. Is that sort of a product of running more stuff through Pat Spencer and some more pick and roll stuff?
I just think, having another ball handler on the floor with Pat or Melt, BP, having the floor spacing of Quentin, the game gets easier, and it's much easier to take care of the ball.
How much of an emphasis is getting, side-to-side ball movement, swinging the ball around the perimeter, generally offensively?
That's our game. I mean, we are a ball movement team. We always have been, and when we can get it swung, we generally get pretty good looks at the rim.
Gotcha. So that was Steve Kerr after the loss tonight. And the Warriors fall by a final score of 127 to 122 to Minnesota Timberwolves. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors wrap-up. And we're going to step aside here at the top of the hour, come back, and have a brief conclusion. About 15 minutes left. We'll take you up until 11:15 and then get out of here before we have our Warriors Week show tomorrow. In the meantime, stick around. We're back for our final segment on Warriors wrap-up after this. 95-7 in the game.
Looking for lifelong financial guidance? Look no further than Pettinelli Financial Partners, your dedicated financial coaches for every stage of life's journey. Whether you're planning for retirement, starting a family, or buying a home, we're here for you every step of the way. Visit PettinelliFP.com. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos and Pettinelli are separate entities from LPL Financial.
O'Reilly.
Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Mama Bear, I hear our old Fast Track tag won't be saving us money on bridge tolls anymore.
That's because bridge carpool rules are changing on January 1st. But don't worry, Papa Bear. I got a new Fast Track Flex tag. Huh? See?
Mama, what are the numbers for?
Well, Baby Bear, that tells the system how many people are in the car, so we can get a discount when there are 3 or more of us. We are 3 bears, and we're setting our tag to 3+. So it's just right.
So now we'll keep saving money on tolls?
Mm-hmm. You bet your cushy driver's seat, Papa.
That'll make up for this cold takeout porridge. Yeah.
My breakfast burrito is just right.
Starting January 1st, 3 or more people are required for carpool discounts on all bridges. A Fast Track Flex toll tag set to 3+ is required for discounts on all bridges except the Bay Bridge and the Golden Gate. Visit getfasttrack.org for details.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Paid for by Reliable Legal Marketing.
Attention California residents. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, including chronic lymphocytic leukemia, a common subtype, is one of the most common cancers in the United States. If you or loved one was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or chronic lymphocytic leukemia and were exposed to Roundup weed killer, you could be entitled to cash compensation. Bayer, the owner of Roundup, has agreed to pay more than $10 billion to cancer victims linked to the weed killer. Call our Weed Killer Cancer Hotline now to see if you're entitled to cash compensation. If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or chronic lymphocytic leukemia and were exposed to Roundup, call now. Our attorneys have the experience and specialize in fighting for everyday people to get the compensation you deserve. If you or a loved one was diagnosed, even if a loved one has passed away, call 800-341-4933 now. But hurry, time is limited. Call 800-341-4933. 800-341-4933.
Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. Will Trial Law, LLC, 1001 Bannock Street, Denver, Colorado, 80204.
Thinking about selling your house but hesitant to move during the holidays? Imagine finalizing your sale now, enjoying the holidays, and move later. Call Wedgwood Homes to discuss your options. Do you want to downsize, relocate, or selling an inherited property? Does your house need repairs or updates? Wedgwood Homes buys homes as is. No repairs, no commissions, no hassle. Secure your future plans and move forward with a no-obligation, all-cash offer from Wedgwood Homes. Close in as little as 3 days. Or enjoy the holiday season and move after the new year. Skip the stress of a traditional listing that can be slow and unpredictable. Lock in your sale now with a firm offer from Wedgwood Homes with no last-minute price drops like other cash buyers. Call 415-888-9432 for your no-obligation all-cash offer. 415-888-9432. 415-888-9432 or wedgwoodhomes.com, the Bay Area's trusted home buyer.
Injured at work? Don't wait. Every moment counts. You may be entitled to medical care and financial compensation, but time matters. The attorneys at Boxer & Gerson are here to protect your rights and fight for the treatment and support you need. Boxer & Gerson have helped thousands of people across Northern California who were hurt on the job. Don't wait, don't guess. Get answers. Call Boxer & Gerson today at 510-835-8870 or visit boxerlaw.com for a free consultation. Boxer & Gerson, your life is worth the fight.
He doubled the pass, stolen by Melton. He anticipated the play. Melton over to Moody. He drives in, cut off by McDaniels. Up top, Curry. Pump fake, steps to his left, pump fake, fly by, 3 ball. Got it! It's a 1-point game!
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
All right, that was Tim Roy on the call. The Warriors 127-120 lost to Minnesota tonight. Big shot. The Warriors had a furious rally after falling behind by 12. It was a 17-0 run by the Timberwolves that helped them get that lead in the fourth quarter. Curry tries to do it seemingly all by himself. He scores 23 in the second half. He had 12 in the fourth quarter, but unfortunately not enough as they fall short. Late Dante DiVincenzo three-pointer on the heels of a missed post three from the corner with a minute left. It would have put them up. Unfortunately, has them in the loss column and back to 513 and 13. All right, before we get out of here, we're going to hear from the chef, Steph Curry, right now here on 95.7 The Game. And in its entirety, here is number 30 in his return for 39 points.
Normal, like middle of the game, trying to get your second win, and then once you get into the rhythm of the game, things started to feel normal again. So I was individually, it was a good first game back just to get my lungs back and feel like myself.
Once you guys rally back to get the lead late, what happened at the end there to let us slip away?
We had a rough, start to the fourth. I think we were up 3 going in the fourth, and then ended up being down 12 or something like that. And against a good team, you can, give it everything you got. Thankfully, we got back in the game, took a lead for a certain point, but then you're at the mercy of a couple makes here, a couple misses here, challenge call, like stuff like that. So it was just a rough start to the fourth, but we did battle. That group that was out there the last 6 minutes, gave ourselves a chance, and Dante hits a big three in the corner. We could kind of seal it for him. Rudy made a lot of plays, finishing like scramble possessions. And even without Ant, you understand they know who they are, and they have a certain look that we struggle with. Just a tough way to end.
No Draymond, no Al. How big a problem was the interior tonight? I mean, you mentioned it, but Gobert and Randall had big numbers.
Yeah, it's 51 combined, and with Rudy, you can try to keep a body on him and kind of take him out of the offense at times, just because if we do have size, and I think he made his presence felt. Obviously, driving lanes, he was getting offensive rebounds, he was getting those little drop down passes, and everything at the rim. So 24 and 14, that's tough to overcome. Draymond and Al understand how to make their impact, make their presence felt against him, but we didn't have them. We had to figure out a way to get it done, but we just didn't.
All right, Steph, you had half your team's points in the fourth quarter, 14 of them. When they go on that 14-0 run to go up by 12, did you kind of maybe say to yourself, I need to take over the game at this point to get your team back in it?
You want to be aggressive. Yeah, internal conversation. I think we're going to score 5 points up until like 7 minutes or something like that in the fourth. And then, you shoot the shots that you think you can make. We got the ball moving in transition a little bit more, which helps, not playing against a set defense. And it just wasn't enough, obviously. So there's a lot of good out there tonight, but obviously not enough to win.
Steph, your 2-point shooting percentage this year has gone up significantly from last year, 8 for 13 tonight. You've also gotten to the line a lot more this year. Why do you think that is?
I think over the course of my career, I try to have a good balance of allowing the three to be a threat so I can get into the paint. It's not like I'm jumping over anybody, so you got to be crafty and all that, but just trying to see lanes to drive, get it on the rim with some touch and hope it goes in. But you have to use a three-point as a threat, and the ball screens and people closing out to you and all that type of stuff to get in the paint. It's something I like to do.
Steph, what does a night where you take 28 field goal attempts feel like on your body, especially as you're coming back from injury?
The attempts aren't really a thing that wears you out. It's more if you're on ball a lot and pick and roll and stuff like that, how much you're running off ball as well. And so like that middle of the game was, when you're doing rehab and all that, it's usually a sustained kind of session, how long you're out there on the court. And then you got, long timeouts, halftime and all that. So you're kind of coming up and down your rest periods during the game. So I was just trying to get back to the rhythm of that. So the shots aren't necessarily a thing that, again, creates fatigue. It's more the style of play. Say what? Yeah. I airballed one at the end of my run in the third quarter. That was fatigue.
Obviously not the result you guys wanted, but like you said, you guys got good performances across the board. Is that something to take away from this one?
I mean, we're playing a lot of guys, and you don't have, Draymond, Al in that rotation. So, we play 11 guys. And whoever's out there, you just play with confidence, be aggressive, play with energy. I think we had some more defensive slip-ups than the offensive side of the ball, especially early in the game, and then it flipped late in the game. It was kind of a lack of rhythm offensively, but to your point, we had a lot of contributions. Melt was awesome off the bench, driving, getting to the foul line. QP, a great game. Mo in the fourth quarter was awesome, so we're going to need those contributions from everybody, no matter who's out there.
Steph, what do you think about starting alongside Pat with that backcourt tonight?
It was cool. It's reminiscent for me like Jarrett Jack back in the day, a guy that just can handle the ball. And then I was off the ball a lot in the first quarter, and on purpose, like with full confidence, he can initiate the offense. I can get some off-ball actions, and he knows how to move the ball. So, it was different. Obviously, we hadn't played much this year, but anybody who has high IQ, I can play next to.
I know that you can't speak for him, but Quentin with that corner three at the end there, when you have that much time, when you're open, what would you advise to a shooter as far as taking time versus letting it go?
I don't ever coach the result, or talk about like just because he missed it, there's anything he should have done differently. The only thing sometimes as a shooter, you just like to have that little pound dribble to get your rhythm back. That's the only thing.
You mentioned the replay review. That's you and Dante kind of both going for the ball. Did you know the 8 count was coming up? How would you describe how that kind of finished there?
Yeah, when I picked him up and got the deflection, and first you're thinking, can I get to the ball and get a steal? But then once I saw he had position, I did take a glance, and there was 2 seconds left. He kind of was holding me off, and I didn't even know I grabbed his arm. It's kind of like instinct, and they thought it was enough to force him to lose the ball. And whatever that proximate foul situation is, so it was. I grabbed his arm, but that happens all the time, but it's just in open space with slow motion or slow-mo replay and all that. You're gonna see it.
Not relevant to the game, but what did you think of your pregame shot, full court?
You said what?
So not relevant to the game, but what about your pregame shot that you hit before you ran in?
That's the second one I've made, so thought it was going to be a better night. Create some good mojo off of that, but yeah. I don't know what else to say. It was fun.
Steph Curry, after the loss, the Golden State Warriors suffered to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Again, thank you for everyone who sort of stuck with us tonight. Sorry I had some technical issues here back at Chase Center. Tough loss for the Warriors. We'll be right back at it tomorrow morning with Warriors this week. Myself, Evan Giddings, alongside my guy Dan Devone. Looking forward to having that for you. It's sounding a lot better here. And thank you again to everyone that tuned in tonight. Thank you to Cameron Williams, our network coordinator. Big thank you to, I believe, Zach Green cutting up tonight. Big thank you for everyone how late they have. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. My name is Evan Giddings, saying so long from Chase Center. You've been listening to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game as the Warriors fall to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Back to 500 again. Final score 127-120. We'll talk to you in the meantime. All ahead on your home for Golden State Warriors basketball. 95.7.
For a guy, we're talking about Phillip Rivers hasn't played since 2020. Cam Newton hasn't played since 2021. So